The second movement of Beethoven's Third Symphony, the big opening solo, is definitely one of those things that's easier to play in the orchestra than by yourself. And there are musical reasons for that and instrumental reasons. So, musically speaking, I find that it's just challenging to find the right continuity and the right pulse through the opening three Gs that takes you to the rest of the solo. And right away, the solution for me is to simply think of what's happening in the strings right before, because the strings really just play this exact figure right before the oboe does. Pom, pom, pa, pom, tim, pa, pom. So when I think of that, I've even tried to play it on the oboe. It's much more fun to just ease into the oboe solo when you continue the string line. Now, the opening, there's two problems that are just waiting for us. First of all, we can either play the three Gs if we get a little bit too careful and then it gets a little boring. Pa, 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 pa. Well, nobody wants that. But then the other extreme of that is if we get a little bit, expressive. And when we get expressive, we can turn this into a triplet. Bam, ba, bam. And every time this dotted rhythm happens, we can turn this into a triplet. So that's quite beautiful by itself, but this is not what Beethoven wrote. So this is definitely not a triplet. And the other big mistake that I hear very often in auditions or in lessons is, well, we do have that grace note, that D, right before the C in the first full bar of this solo. And grace notes should definitely be graceful notes. And the grace note D should be slightly faster, slightly lighter than the passing 32nd note. So once we get through the opening, let's say bar and a half, when there's all these challenges waiting for us just to get the solo started, then it gets not bad for a while. And then I love bar 14, because in bar 14, well, I love every single bar of this solo, of course, but in bar 14 we have an amazing opportunity to demonstrate to the audition committee or to whoever is listening to you that you actually understand what's happening in the music. Because we have this word crescendo marked throughout the entire bar. And it's such a wonderful thing when a player keeps the crescendo and it blooms over the bar line and its climax occurs directly with the downbeat of bar 15, because that's where the bass line changes from B natural to B flat, which builds the chord of B flat 7th chord, which is the dominant 7th chord of E flat major, which is where this opening solo line is going. So definitely delay the crescendo until you go over the bar line to the downbeat of bar 15, then you can begin a beautiful diminuendo. It should also be noted that although Beethoven does write adagio assai at the very beginning of this movement, which means very slow, the most important instruction that he gives us is marcia funebre, which means funeral march. Yes, funeral, but still a march. And because it's a march, it really does imply a certain continuity and momentum. Otherwise, this whole thing will just get way too slow. Now, in the next solo that happens about 20 bars after letter A, obviously this is a much nicer register for the oboe, so starting it is very nice. But then in bar 38, well, we have a lot of options there to phrase it in many ways. And, I just find that it's a little bit awkward to find the right and natural way to make it sound interesting, but at the same time not turn this into some sort of a, passage out of the Bohemian Rhapsody or something by Elton John. With all due respect to both Queen and Elton John, whom I like very much. But this is a slightly different opera, as we say in Russian. So I just found that, if I had to kind of imitate it with words, and then what you do is you have to take a little bit of time, and then you have to make it up. Otherwise, you run out of time in that bar. And then it occurred to me that those are the exact words for what we're doing musically. Ta dee da da dee. Take your time and make it up. Take your time and make it up. For the opening solo in the third movement is called scherzo, which means joke in Italian. And let me tell you, it's no joke just how awkward this little ti-da-da-da-dum can be. And it's very strange because when you take it out of context, just by itself, it's really not that challenging at all. Just about in any key. I mean, really, it just works. So the trick is to connect it after, 7 consecutive B flats. And because the only instruction that we get from Beethoven is pianissimo, you can't notate artistry, so you really do have to make something out of it. So what I think is in character is after about, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these B flats, to put a little bit of intensity and spin so that these B flats, they develop over the bar line, finally become something. It's an idea that gets a little stuck in a cutesy kind of way, like and there's where it's going. And then the other thing that's very important, this entire movement is based on ta 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 ah pa 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 pa. So when this E flat occurs, it interrupts this idea that's very flowing, pecky, playful, light, but flowing forward. Pa 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 and definitely goes up, and then next 3 bars are down. Pa 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 pa. And absolutely keep the very last note short. There's no dot on it printed. I don't know if they accidentally ran out of ink or whatever, it doesn't matter. Absolutely, if you want this to be funny, like a joke, don't make it heavy. Pa 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 pa.